or if you want to import quantities from other locations, or if you want to import discontinued items or purchase orders from all locations and so forth. So you have several different options of what you want to either pare down and not import, or if you want to be able to import your customers or not. So there's several different options you have here on that. Hope the audio is better. Apologize if there's been an issue with that on the phone line here, but hopefully everybody can hear me a little bit better. I haven't missed much if you haven't been able to, so I'll be getting into the to the meat of the app here right now. So basically, once the import is complete, and I'm not going to go through the import since we just did that, but you can see here on the top of the screen, it's going to display the last time you did a sync of your data. So you have all the up-to-date purchase orders, items, inventory levels, quantity on hand, and so forth. So you should be able to to have all that data as of whatever time you last synced. So once the import's complete, you can be disconnected, be no wireless, be offline, and be able to do all the work you need to. So the only time you have to have a connection is when you're going to do that sync, and then of course when you're going to send any data back over to CounterPoint. So once the import's complete, I'm ready to just hit the back button here, and I'm going to use my mouse, as you might imagine, just to be able to see where you're tapping on the screen. You can always use a directional pad, if your device has a directional pad, or you can just tap on the screen with the stylus, your thumb, what have you. The first thing you're going to want to do is hit your user ID. This is going to make sure that the batch gets assigned appropriately. As many of you probably know, the batch ID is tied in depending on the admin rights for receiving and so forth. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and dig into the module. It's going to start with item lookup. And as you might imagine, that's just going to give you the ability to scan an item. I'm just going to pick up a barcode here and just scan a barcode. So as soon as you scan, it's going to bring that up and bring you some of the critical information that may be helpful, showing you the regular price, your price one, your cost, and your margin. There's options and settings that will allow you to hide your cost and does hide your margin if you don't want your employees to be able to see that. There is what we call an edit mode. So by tapping menu and then edit mode, you get the ability to edit any data that is by settings allowed. So since the price and the regular price is not allowing me to change that, that indicates that in settings I've made it to where you cannot edit that price. So obviously that's something you can turn on and off, toggle on and off, depending on who's going to be using the device. But if you want to make an edit to bin 1, you can in this case. The quantity on hand is showing as quantity 12. Since I imported quantities from other location, it's going to show me what I have on hand in my other locations. So if you need to see that information, a lot of times that's useful for you to be able to see when you're trying to help a customer out. Let me just get back in item lookup. If you don't have a barcode, so by definition, there's this is a way to look up your database. So you have all these different ways to pare down and do a search for an item that you may be trying to see some information on. So obviously by description is the most common, but by long description is certainly an option. And you also have the ability to do by extended description, by vendor item code, etc. Just to kind of give you an example of by description. If I just tap in this area right here and just type in a couple letters, let me see if I can find an item in my database and just tap go. It's going to bring up all the items that match that. Anything with CAR in the description anywhere, it'll pull that up. So naturally when you select that item, it'll bring that information up here. The add barcode is a way if you know that you have the item but you want to add a new barcode to an existing to this existing item, I can just tap that, and then now from here I can just scan a barcode, and then it'll pull that in. And then the barcode IDs, these are all pulled in from your CounterPoint database to be able to show you what kind of barcode ID. I'm assuming most of you are not going to have that many barcode IDs. You may just have one for UPC or alternate one, what have you. But whatever you have in the system here is what we'll pull down. If by chance you just happen to choose barcode ID 3 and this item already has barcode ID 3, it will let you know that, and I'm sorry, it will not override what's already in there. But it will let you know, in this case, as you can see, that I just tried to enter in an existing barcode that already existed in my database, so obviously it's not going to let you do that. Most times you're going to find your new barcode during the receiving process, and I'll get to that shortly, and basically it'll just show you basically the same thing. We are adding, there is a what we call a real-time wireless mode. When that's on, what that's doing is it's looking directly at your CounterPoint database live. Obviously, you need to have a wireless network for that. It's really one of the only times I would say you have to have a wireless network. But if you want to have the 2B-Inventory app ping the database directly and pull down up to the second information on quantity on hand and so forth, there's an option for that as well. We do have ability to do a couple things here. We have options for label printing. So if we integrate with a couple different manufacturers for printing a label. So if you wanted to print a label right here on the spot, there's a little Bluetooth label printer you can have on your hip or on your shoulder and be able to go ahead and print a label. We can customize that for you to meet whatever specs you have for that. So if you want to scan an item and then hit print a label and then tell how many, you can. The print on scan option is very helpful because some of our customers requested, like, I don't want to have to scan it and then be able to tell that I want to print a label. So that option, what that does is as soon as you scan that barcode, it's automatically going to print quantity 1 of that label. So it's a very handy feature to be able to just go around your store and be able to print labels as you go. Moving on, let me move over to the next module here. Receiving is definitely one of the most sought after because there's so many different options and so many different ways that people can do receiving. So as you can see, the first step that you're going to want to tell the app, are you receiving against a PO or are you just receiving against a vendor? I'm going to go through the option to receive against the PO. Most of the customers do have that, but you always have the option if for whatever reason a PO wasn't created, you can just say I'm going to receive these items against vendor 1, 2, 3. So when you select yes that you want to receive against the vendor, the first thing you're going to see is a vendor list. So these are all your vendors that were imported from your database. When you select your vendor, you're going to see only the open purchase orders that are available to have at least one open item remaining. So whether it's a first time receiving against or this is the second time a vendor has sent you items, it'll pull that information in here. So once you select your current vendor and your PO, you're just going to tap OK. 2B-Inventory in the background is building up those items, so you can basically reconcile against that. So before I even scan the first item that I'm receiving against, if I just go over to List View, that's going to show me a list of all the items that I've scanned. Obviously, I've not scanned any so far, but what it does also show is everything that is on the PO, and then show me the PO number over here. We've color coordinated the PO number just so the user can get a very clear idea of what's left, have they received anything, and so forth. And basically the colors are, if it's in gray like you see here, that means you've not received anything. In other words, that item has not been touched, and there is an expected quantity. I'll show you here shortly how that changes as you begin to receive. So just going back on this screen, I'm ready to start scanning my items. And of course, it's going to let me know if it's on the PO or not. In this case, it did not pop a message saying it was not on the PO, so obviously it is. As soon as you scan a barcode in 2B-Inventory, it's automatically going to put in a quantity of 1. So as you can see, I'm just scanning the same barcode multiple times, but I can quickly move over to the next item and just scan that. So there's no save, there's no next or anything like that. So if I scan a barcode 2 different times, it's going to have 2 different records of that scan, but it's going to add the quantities together. If you would prefer not to type in or scan every item, you can just simply scan it once and then put in whatever quantity you like, and then immediately scan the next barcode. Upon scanning the next barcode, 2B-Inventory will automatically save that previous record, in this case, that orange juice and quantity of 28. And then you can toggle between scanning whatever items that you want. So you're not tied down to having to to scan a bunch of items back to back or put in the final quantity, because 2B-Inventory will always do the math for you. If you do not have a barcode, or if the barcode somehow got ripped or is not scannable, the fastest way to enter in an item is to type in menu and then add item. So by doing that, it's going to bring up this keypad that I can just type in the barcode that I'm receiving or the item number, either way, and it'll do a search and find that. So whether I manually enter an item or I scan an item, it's going to know right away if that item is not on the PO, and it's going to give you that message just like CounterPoint will. And that way you have the option to say, yes, I'm going to receive that anyway, or no, I don't want to receive that. Most of the customers, as you might imagine, you're going to receive that anyway, so it'll add that to the receiver as part of what you're receiving today. The ellipsis up here on the top part of your screen here by the item number is going to take you to item lookup. So the same item lookup that you saw just a moment ago, you have an option to do a search for your database. So if I type in a couple letters here and find an item that I want to receive against, it's going to, of course, let me know the item is on the PO and add it anyway, but it'll allow me to do that. Going back, and you can toggle between the scanning, manual entry, lookups, what have you. So you have all the different options available to you. If you scan an item that is not in your database, and this is where a lot of our customers find that a vendor may have sent an item that you ordered, but this is a brand new barcode. It could be from a different manufacturer, what have you. But if you know you want to add this barcode that I just scanned to an existing item, I can just simply tap yes. Again, it'll take me to item lookup so I can find that item. I'm just going to use the same example here. So if I tap the item that I want, the same message you saw before as far as the barcode type will come in, and then if it has a different unit of measure, a case, dozen, what have you, you can do that. So when you tap OK, it's going to go ahead and pull that item up. So what I'm doing here is, in addition to just receiving this item in whatever quantity, I'm also going to be adding this barcode, 70237, to my CounterPoint database as soon as I send this data over to CounterPoint. So it's kind of killing two birds at one time, so you're able to continue to receive. So the next time, obviously, someone scans barcode 70237, it'll be associated with this. What I was getting at earlier when in discussing the barcode is if this item already had a barcode UPC or barcode type 3, it will add to it. It will not overwrite any existing barcodes that you have associated with any item. Now going to my list view, just so I can get an idea of what's already been scanned. This is going to show you everything that's been scanned. You have a date time stamp, so you'll know exactly what time you scanned. This is very helpful if you get called away by a customer, you take a lunch break, what have you. You can immediately come back and see exactly what was the last item that you scanned. You can review your work here to see exactly what's been scanned, what hasn't been. Let's see, this orange juice small here has this one scanned of 28 and this one of 1 and so forth. If you wanted just to get a quick idea of how many the total are, I can just tap on the link here, which is going to bring the item back up, and it'll show me the total of 30 has been scanned at some point. And however it does the math, whether you scan that same barcode 30 times, or in this case, one record of 28 and 2 others of 1 each, it's always going to do the math for you. If I see a mistake has been made and I didn't mean to scan 28, but instead I meant to do 2, I can quickly make an adjustment here. Just tap anywhere on the screen right here, and then it's going to save that new record. So now by going back to list view, it's going to show that new quantity of where to go, up here 2. And so, of course, the correct total, the 4, is now going to be sent back to CounterPoint. Back on the list view, if I see I made an error and I scanned something or I manually entered something that was incorrect, I can highlight it and then just tap menu and then delete. It'll only delete 1 record at a time. It's by design will not allow you to delete more than 1 item. So you always have the ability to go back and check your work. Over on the Reconcile tab, as you can see, things have changed quite a bit because the red always indicates that I've under-received this item. So I'm expecting a lot, 120, and I've only received 4. On this particular item, this was the one that was not on the PO, so it's anything that's over the quantity expected is going to be highlighted in blue. If I had something that was matched, so in other words, if this was quantity 3 and I'm expected 3, this would have been in black. So this is really intended for the user to check his or her own work to make sure that everything looks correct, before they send the data back to CounterPoint. If I'm ready to go, if I'm connected wirelessly, then I can just go ahead and hit the send button. If I'm not, then it's just a matter of coming back to the workstation, hitting menu send, and then it'll send that data. So every module, physical count, et cetera, as you'll see, will have that menu send option straight from that module, so you can finish your work and then immediately just send the data back out. I'm going to give you a quick little summary of what was sent. I'll show you the total quantity, shows that I've inserted 1 barcode, and I have 0 errors, which obviously is what you want. So back over on CounterPoint, let's see if I have CounterPoint pulled up. I'm able to just show you. A lot of you are probably familiar with CounterPoint in the posting process, and I'm not going to go too far into that, but it will send the data back to CounterPoint, and it'll be in a ready to receive or post. So you always have the ability to review your work or your employees' work. Really what I wanted to stress is 2B-Inventory follows the CounterPoint quality control measures of having that posting process. So even if your employee made a big accident or there was some error, it would not mess up your database until you or whoever's in charge, a manager, owner, what have you, had the ability to post that data. Let me see if I can get back over to the tickets screen. I'm sorry, the receiving screen here real quick. And my CounterPoint's acting slow here. Oh, I've got my ticket window coming up. Apologize for that. So most of you are probably familiar with the receiving process. So instead of going in and entering a brand new receiver, what's going to happen is that ability to look and see all the receivers. And so this is the one that we just did right here. So if I know that I did this work or I trust that employee and I'm ready to go, I can just post it right away. But if I need to review his or her work and make sure that everything looks correct, or if I need to make an edit, you can always make an edit right here on the back end in CounterPoint. So it's never going to automatically update your data. So we want to follow those quality control functionalities that CounterPoint has built in. The receiving against just a vendor works very much the same way. You're just obviously not going to have a PO to match up and reconcile against. Moving on, physical count, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to need, and that's how certainly we got started with the 2B-Inventory app. It's even more straightforward because the same functionality that you saw earlier in the receiving module is available here. The idea for 2B-Inventory for physical count is to get the data quickly and accurately back to CounterPoint, so you can spend more of your time running that edit list and the reconcile report, the variance report, excuse me, instead of just spending time capturing the data. But the same functionality that you saw before of being able to type in a quantity and then be able to scan the next barcode is always available. So regardless if the policy that you have in place is to scan every barcode, or if it's to put in whatever quantity and then just scan the next one, you can. Same functionality to type menu and then add an item to be able to just scan that, or sorry, manually enter in that barcode. And then of course the little ... will take you to the item lookup. Same functionality that you've seen before. The list view is very similar to the receiving. Obviously there's no reconcile tab, but it will give you a little rundown exactly what you have scanned. If you needed to edit an item, change a quantity, delete an item, all those functionalities are the same. So when you send this data back to CounterPoint, and you can, if you have multiple devices, 2B-Inventory will always add to. So if I had 10 different devices all hitting one location, and I'm exporting 10 different devices, it's going to find any previous count, obviously before you post, it's going to find any previous count and then be able to add to. So just like 2B-Inventory will add like items while I'm scanning. So if I scan the same barcode 10 times, It'll have the add that together. It'll do the same thing when I export this one, device number 1. If now device number 2 is ready to export and it sees the previous record, it'll add to, not override. So really you can export as often as you like from the handheld. So if you want to have your employees scanning one aisle at a time and then sending the data and have the manager back looking at the edit list to kind of get started on that variance report before you're actually done, just kind of get a head start. So you can kind of be doing your physical count as you go. But again, the posting process, all that remains inside CounterPoint. All right, so moving on to the next one, transfers. It's really going to create a transfer out request. There's also the option for a quick transfer. As far as 2B-Inventory is concerned, the functionality is the same. It's just a matter of do you check that button for quick transfer or not. The location is always going to be the location that you synced with, but you have the ability to change that. So we have some customers that are going to be doing, I'm at this location number 1, and I'm going to be physically scanning these items out and be sending them to this particular location. But we also have situations with customers to where they may be at location 1, but I need to request the following items from, let's say, my warehouse because I'm running low on the following. So if you want to create a transfer out to that warehouse, so the warehouse can then go look and then fulfill that transfer and send it back to you, they can do that as well. So the from and the to can vary as you like. So when I hit the OK button, I'm ready to begin. And so it's just a matter of scanning, same functionality, same as far as being able to enter in a quantity, be able to scan the next barcode, automatically save, all that good stuff that you've seen. Same with the add the item manually. It'll do all that, the same functionality. We like to keep a lot of the functionality the same, so it's very similar, so the users can adapt fairly quickly. You also have the options if you want to put in the upper right, left to right arrows to increase the quantity. You can do that as well. You can delete an item if you like, of course. If you made a mistake, you can just hit menu and then delete. It'll only delete the item on the screen right now, that orange juice, and it'll move that away. List view is going to send me to the list of all the transfers. So you don't need to do one transfer at a time and then send it back to CounterPoint. You can send multiple at one time if you wanted to. We have some customers that may be way out of the warehouse or at a place where they don't really have any connectivity, so they may need to create multiple at a time. So you can certainly do that. Same feature of when you're done, just hit the menu send button, and it'll send that out. In this case, it's going to be a transfer out that, of course, the warehouse can pull up and then be able to fulfill. It may not be that they have all the quantity on hand to send, but of course they can make any edits, just like you saw in receiving, before they post that. All right, so moving on, the tickets is for line busting. This isn't to complete a sale, but for line busting in order to be able to kind of move people through your line. So if you have a busy Saturday or a busy afternoon, you can certainly do that. And we also have a lot of lawn and garden, green industry use this. So they may have a large patio or lot where they have a lot of the items, and they may not have wireless anywhere there, so you can walk around your store, give a lot more one-on-one customer service, but by basically adding items to their cart as you go. So you can either select your customer if you want to in advance. If you imported your customers, of course, you can display your customers, select one, and then of course it's going to pull that customer information in and then be able to begin. So pretty similar, as you might see, to what you saw in the transfers as far as the layout. So you want to be able to, it's going to show you the items right up here on top, and then of course below that be able to show you the items that are on the ticket. It's also going to show you the total down here. So the total of $2.35 is going to show you the total down here, so you can go ahead and get an idea of what the total is for this customer. Same functionality as far as being able to change the quantity, add an item manually, etc. And before I forget, 2B-Inventory does have grid functionality. I'm trying to think if I recall if I have any items with grid, but if you scan a barcode that is grid specific, so it already has the cells populated, large blue shirt, it will automatically pull that in. If it does not, then it will, if you just scanning or manually type in the item but that doesn't have any grid information, it will pull that information in. Let me see if I can find, pretty sure I have an item that is gridded here. Let me find it just one second. All right, so this one right here. So in this, what you're seeing here is the same regardless of the module, so physical count, whatever. Most of our customers are going to have barcodes that are grid specific, so you don't need to see the screen. You don't have to tell it the dimensions. In this case, obviously, it looks like my gridded item is not set up properly, so apologize about that. So it doesn't look like I have the grid dimensions entered here. So of course, it's going to tell me you can't do that. But you know, it's anytime 2B-Inventory, regardless if it's a situation like that where items in the database is missing, or if the device that just flakes out and locks up, 2B-Inventory you won't lose any data. So you'll never have a situation like that. So it's going to store all that data, so you can always reset your device or enter that information back in, and you'll be right back at where you were. So in this case, if something happened, regardless of the situation, I can always just go back to list view, see the item or the ticket right here in this case, pull that back up, and now I can continue to work on this ticket. If Helen Brown here is not available to check out, want to continue shopping, or need to get some information or takes a phone call, you have a new customer you need to help, the fastest way is just to hit the new button, and it'll immediately take me over to the next ticket where I can just begin scanning my tickets. In this case, it's just going to use the generic cash or whatever your walk-in customer will use. Obviously, once that's exported back to CounterPoint, the cashier can change that. So if you need to create multiple tickets at one time before you send the whole ticket back to CounterPoint, you can. So in this case, if this customer is ready to go, I can just hit the send button right here, and it'll automatically go ahead and export that ticket. Now, obviously, for line busting, as you might imagine, if I'm literally trying to move people through the line and get things rolling pretty quickly, it's going to be something that you're going to want to have a wireless network on. So that's probably the one module that I would say wireless is probably going to be required. You know, but it really kind of just depends on your situation. So if I'm not ready to begin my next ticket, I can of course just begin the scanning process here. There is a print receipt option. So if I want to have a kind of like the label printing that I mentioned that's available in item lookup, it's also available in receiving, by the way, for the label printing. But for receipt printing, if I want to print a receipt of the items that the customer is buying, if I hit this button, it'll go ahead and print a receipt because it's going to be connected to my Bluetooth, and it'll print a receipt of the items that this person's buying, and also have that ticket number, in this case 2B3-1004, in a barcode format. So if that customer wants to take it over to the cashier, and the cashier can just scan that barcode in to recall that order, they can. Obviously, they also have the option to just do a hold recall just like you normally would. Let's see. So I have the option, like I said, to either go ahead and send this one ticket, or I can, if you have multiple tickets at once, you can always send multiple tickets at one time. So in this case, I have two different tickets. So both of these customers are now ready to go. I can just hit menu and then send data, and it'll send all the tickets. So you know that original ticket for Helen Brown will always stay right here on the handheld until I'm done. So if that person doesn't come back, I could have just highlighted that ticket and just deleted it, or I could have gone and recalled it and made any edits, delete an item, what have you. So you always have that ability to make any edits before you send the data back over to CounterPoint. And so now the tickets are essentially just going to be ready for recall. So just like you're probably familiar with, let's see, where's my hold recall buttons? Let's see. So this is just going to bring up all the tickets that are available. So if I just want to recall, this is that one ticket that we just did, but you have the ability to right now go ahead and check out that customer. So it's just as if you created a brand new ticket inside CounterPoint, and that can just be recalled. So let's see, purchase request. So this is if you want to create a brand new purchase request for CounterPoint. So the first thing you're going to see is if you do you want to select the vendor and then have 2B-Inventory create a brand new purchase request for that particular vendor, or if you just want to, if you have your primary vendor set up and you know that you always want to order items from your primary vendor, the easiest thing is to do is just to tap no there, and that way it'll create as many purchase requests as there are items that have a unique primary vendor. Just for demo purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and select, say, yes, I want to create a new purchase request for this particular vendor, and just tap OK, and now I'm allowed to just begin my scanning. It will let you know that if there's not a vendor record for that item, just like CounterPoint will, and you are able to either tap yes to continue or no, I don't want to add that item, what have you. As you begin to go and add items and change quantities, it will begin to give you the total down here, $11.32 so far. It will follow any minimums or multiple requirements. So if you have an item that is set up for that particular vendor that does require minimum of 3 or multiples of 2, whatever the situation may be, it will let you know that and obviously put in a suggested quantity based on those rules. Same functionality as you may have seen before, of course, to add an item or delete, what have you. Same with the list view, so you can create multiple purchase orders at one time. Let's see, we're close to adding a inventory adjustments module. That's close to being out of a beta mode, so I won't quite go into that, but it is another option going to work very similar to what you're probably used to for breakage, so it'll pull in whatever reason codes you may have for plus or minus to do an inventory adjustments. There are some settings here. I'll just briefly go over them. There is a password protecting, so if you have the allow price change not checked, or you have it checked and you don't want your employees to be able to go in and change that, you can set up your own password. So anytime you tap into the settings, you would have to put in that password. So you know, the hide cost, all price change, hide quantity on hand, we definitely see that quite a bit for physical count. That you may not want your employee to see how much CounterPoint says you have on hand, so you have that ability. Receiving, and for all the other modules, receiving, transfer, purchase request, you'll see the ability for 2B-Inventory to key off the starting receiver number, starting transfer number. So just like CounterPoint has that auto increment set next, that's what this does here. We recommend putting some kind of indication so you'll immediately know when you're pulling up that receiver, that transfer, to know not just that it came from the mobile device, but if you have multiple devices, which number it came from. So in this example, 2B3-whatever is always going to give you that knowledge of, oh, that came from 2B-Inventory, and that also came from that device number 3. So if you needed to track down who did it or from what device that receiver came from, makes it a lot easier to do that. The distance receiving, you have the ability to, if you always want to receive against a PO and avoid that screen that you saw earlier, to have you toggle down which fork in the road you want to go down. You have the ability to skip that screen if you like. The cancel remaining on PO, so if you want to tell it to not leave any on back order, you can. And then you have the option to import cancel POs if you like. The backup scans to file and export is very helpful. What that does is when I send the data over to CounterPoint, it will also send the exact same data over to a CSV file. So that's been extremely helpful for some of our customers just for internal auditing, external auditing. We've had some where an issue came up and they needed to use that file in order to actually import the data. But basically, it's just a backup really intended to be a value add to be able to see the data of exactly what time it was scanned. There's also an option that I didn't show in the demo here, but there's also an option to be able to add in a location, whether that's your actual bin or whether that's an area. If you break up your store by area 1, area 2, or aisles, what have you, there's an option to do that as well to help you kind of get an idea of not only what that item was, but where it was counted. Purchase request, this is just setting up that starting number. Same for the ticket number and the transfer number. You can always have transfers default to quick transfer. Some additional settings. You have options here. You have the ability to drop a check digit, what have you. You can check for updates on the system tab here. If you did a bunch of practice and you just want to delete the scan database, and of course this is where I would set my log on to be able to get into settings. So when I'm done with my settings, I can just exit here, and of course it's going to want me to exit the program if I made any changes. So that is, in a brief little rundown, the basic core functionality and features of 2B-Inventory. I'm sure that I may have missed a couple things here and there, and I'm sure there may be some questions, hopefully. So I'll be happy to address those, as many as I can here in the time that we're allotted. And then, of course, I'll give you my contact information once again to be able to either call or email me with any specific questions, or if you wanted to go over anything more in detail about receiving, what have you, be happy to do that. All right, so let's see here. Don't know if there are any. Okay, so no questions. That's fantastic. That means I've done a great job. And yes, we do plan on recording. We have recorded this. We do plan on having it available online for you to view. We will probably be able to break it out into individual modules. So if you just want to get a quick rundown of, let's say, receiving, you might be able to just break down, just go straight to that, and be able to do that. So let's see. Hopefully, some questions have come in, but like I said, it's certainly not a big deal if none have. Let's see. Okay, so I do see one question about the future picking module, and yeah, that will be a completely different app that will be available. It can run on the same device, but it will be a picking app. It's going to be more of a live, working directly with the CounterPoint database, and we are looking to possibly after the version 1, if you will, of picking an order. We may also look at doing some for transfers, and we've done some customizations for a handful of customers for that. So it's a matter of looking to see if there's any request for more of a picking for transfers. But for right now, like I said, it will either, if you want it to go by bin, in other words, force you to go to the most efficient walk as you're walking the aisle, you can do that. Walk in the different bins or aisles of your warehouse, or if you want to make it a little more similar to the receiving, to where you're just going to have a group of items, in a bin or in a loading area, ready to pack up and put on the truck, you can do that as well. Hoping to have that available for beta here next month. Not sure if the picking app going to be tied to order management. Probably at least for version 1, it's probably going to just work more of what I call traditional, where it's just going to where you can look to release that. More than welcome to discuss any options for the ability to work within the order management. It's just a matter of there's so many different phases of that order management. At least for version 1, for the masses, if you will, it's more than likely going to just work directly into the traditional picking and the releasing of an order. And I'm, as I mentioned before, always available for any one-on-one demos. I'm more used to doing more one-on-one demos to where you can answer questions and I can dig into a little bit deeper of any features or anything that may be more specific to you, whether it be serialized items, which 2B-Inventory can do, whether it be gridded items, what have you. But we're always adding new features and functionality. Some of the new stuff that we're adding to 2B-Inventory, for example, is adding some of the functionality in the real-time lookup for item lookup. So it's going to reflect price rules and quantity available instead of quantity on hand. So we're always looking to add and enhance, add features not only to 2B-Inventory, but also when it makes sense, like the picking app, kind of look beyond just this one app that is more general and kind of look at some of the more specific that may be a little bit more geared towards individual either industries or individual customers. I do see a question about during receiving, can you change the cost? And yes, you can. So if you're receiving, I'm just going to just briefly go into this since I'm just going to say, yes, I want to receive. So during the receiving process, if you scan a barcode and I want to change that cost, I can go ahead and do that right here and go ahead and just type in whatever my new cost is right here. So that's going to push that value back over to a CounterPoint under that cost. So yes, naturally, if you see the cost is different that you got in from the packing slip, you can go ahead and do that right there. Let's see, my little window for the questions is very tiny, so apologize. Let me try and see if I can scroll through anything else. Don't think I've missed any questions, but let me just give you my contact information once again. And I know that I know a lot of you, so we can certainly you know how to reach me. But if you don't, that's my contact information. Just George at 2bsolutions.net, and the number that you can reach me at is that 205-408-9991. And more than happy to answer any questions or provide a more one-on-one demo for either yourself or your training team or any prospects that you may have. I do see, let's see if there's any last questions before we. Let's see, sorry, just scrolling through some of the let's see, I do see a question about the user conference, and yes, I do plan on going to the user conference. I will just happen to be in the Atlanta area. We're not far, so I'm just going to be over there working anyway. I will not be there in an official capacity, but I will be there and love to see old friends, new friends. So by all means, feel free to reach out to me, and I can provide you my mobile number, and we can certainly look to meet up. Let's see, I think that's about all the questions that I see that are relevant. Let's see if there's anything else, but I definitely appreciate everyone's time today. Looking forward to working with you guys, I'm sure hopefully even more, or if I haven't worked with you in the past, look to work with you in the future. So thanks again, everyone. Hope you have a pleasant day, and we'll look to be talking to you all soon.